to us being live. Okay, we're live. No countdown.
So, hello, welcome to the first Google Hangout session for the left on the left forum. I'm Mark Strach, and I'm happy to have with me Stephanie McMillan, Paula Urich Amram, and Ted Roll, who are a revolutionary comic producer, I guess. I mean, you're making awesome pictures. I saw a lot of them online, and also on books. I mean, last year at the Left Forum, for example, I watched through the World War III issue you made, Paula, and you already told me that you have a new one coming up. Is that right?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Issue 46 is coming out in June 2015.
Cool. Yeah, this is the first time that we are here on a Google Hangout. I hope people like it and even watch it. And maybe, yeah, it's a kind of premiere thing, and I'm a bit nervous, although I'm just talking to this machine here and seeing you guys. I mean, it's the 21st century, I think, and we have to get used to those kinds of communication. But we want to talk about the Left Forum, where people meet basically offline and in real life to come together to talk about, political things going on in this country and on the globe, because there's so many things we all want to change, I guess, and we have to debate, analyze, and also maybe strategize, and let us know what everybody is basically at and wants to do. This year's theme of the conference is Confronting Capitalism's and Democracy's Crisis, or other people say Confronting the Crisis of Capitalism and Democracy, which are pretty diverse. And a very important addition to the title is No Justice, No Peace, which basically is, I think, a big reference to the Black Lives Matter panel. How do you think about the theme if it comes to Comics for Revolution, which is a panel you basically, Stephanie, proposed? How do you fit in that theme, and why are you basically, I mean, you come almost every year, is that right?
I have come for the past few years, not just to present my comics, but actually to use them as a way to talk with people and open up discussion with people so that we can organize and precisely to fight against capitalism. I think capitalism is a mode of production that is destructive to the planet and exploitative inherently, and it can't be reformed or changed. There will never be justice under capitalism. So we need to organize and figure out ways to fight against it. And it's the organizing that I hope to do through meeting people at the Left Forum. I'm going to be having a table there, and I hope people will come and talk. And if people are interested in doing some common work, then I would love to discuss that. Because if we don't start building organizations, we're not ever going to be able to get rid of capitalism and achieve a democracy that's meaningful.
And Ted, we never met before, I think, but I heard also about and saw some of your pictures. I think one of them actually is in our office. It's about the Left Forum itself. I mean, you made a picture about organizing, and it was pretty funny. What draws you into the Left Forum? Why are you participating and excited about it? If you are, I hope.
Well, for me, political cartoon. I'm not an organizer like Stephanie, but for me, political art and cartooning is a form of awareness building, and I have definitely a big foot in the mainstream media. I'm a cartoonist at major publications like the LA Times, and what is interesting to me about political graphics as a medium is that it's one more channel to try to educate people, and bring up issues and widen the discussion outside of the paradigm of bourgeois electoral politics. And so, Left Forum is kind of, for me, a way of going to go back and kind of build awareness, maybe among academics and people on the left who might not be aware of the power of political cartooning. I mean, that's kind of a recent development, but until maybe 30 or 40 years ago, was well aware of political cartooning and used them a lot to educate, various revolutionary newspapers and magazines always used political cartoons. They were used on posters and so on. And for whatever reason, in the last 20, 30 years, they kind of fell by the wayside. So, you can pick probably just about any anti-capitalist publication and not find any comics at all. And so left, to me, going to Left Forum and joining Stephanie for her panels is a way to help get the message like, hey, listen, it's not just words. There's also pictures are also effective, and so we need I see this all as about a way of communication and getting the word out both ways. So I think that that's kind of why I do it. Now, in terms of the cartoon I did about Left Forum, I hope that it was taken in the right spirit. It's definitely a fun gathering and well worth doing. But there are some pretty there are some internal contradictions to Left Forum that perhaps we can talk about, or not, whatever. But anyway, so.
So maybe just, what I'm thinking always is, or as I saw again your panel, Comics for Revolution, I was just thinking, to ask you the question, as being a political cartoonist, and now with this new social media age, which we are basically in, we are meeting, here online, and more and more people, using Facebook, Twitter, and all that, and all I am getting out of this is also there's a lot of many images, which basically, just popping up in your Facebook wall, or you get a Twitter tweet. How does this, speediness, and also maybe the way as the attention level might change through all that affects you and also concerns you as political cartoonists? Is that something which basically helps you in not only getting your pictures to people, but also does it stress you out a bit, or what?
Well, I think in the part of the work that I'm doing where it's youth participation, it actually helps, because a lot of the young people that I'm working with who are organizing for Black Lives Matter, who are organizing for youth environmental revolutionary activities, they're doing a lot of that online and offline, and to them there's not as much of a information overload because they're living doing 5 things at once. It's not a problem. I think can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm pretty.
I think that one of my issues, and why I actually liked what Ted just said, is that a lot of my criticisms have to do with us on the left, rather than, I think that there are a lot of people on the left making effective critiques of capitalism that just need to get out there more. And so I agree with what Stephanie's saying about organizing together. I also think our self-critiquing is really important, and a lot of what we say is really boring to young people, like incredibly deadly boring. And a lot of what we're trying to do with the next issue of World War III is not have it be about youth, it's actually by young people, and it's by some of our longtime cartoonists like Eric Drucker, Rebecca Migdal, working with kids, producing cartoons, and hopefully they'll be more interesting to young people, because we've been failing in that way to communicate a lot of the issues that are important both ways, back and forth.
Yeah, we can come back to the new issue you were telling me about, this incredible, work with the children and I think also teenagers. We'll get back to that in a minute, but again, back to the question on social media, Stephanie. How did it affect you? Is that...
Well, it certainly broadens the audience for cartoons, I think. Cartoons are kind of the original memes, and everybody passes around memes, so if you put out a cartoon that basically reads like one, and it's funny, and the drawing is appealing and colorful, then I think it gets good play if it's something that touches people and actually addresses what they're thinking about. So yeah, I think social media has made it possible for people to reach each other in a way that's never happened before. There have always been strict gatekeepers on publishing, on newspapers, and now we're able to put out whatever we want to as many people as we can attract to it. So I think it's a really great method for reaching people. And I agree with Paula completely that it helps. I think cartoons they help break up those gray walls of text that are so boring, and I think we need to make those texts a lot shorter and more conversational also, because we have to be able to reach people, and if we are not understandable, then it's our fault. We have to learn how to express ourselves in a way that's accessible.
Yeah. Well, I have sometimes my difficulty because being in German, my English is well, improvable. But Ted, what about your experience with the social media and the well, I mean, the point with the gatekeepers is also, I think, sometimes I believe if we are all can send stuff out there, also, I mean, who's seeing that? If everybody is basically capable and making pictures and all that, and who's paying attention? How
Well,
do you deal with this? You know, I mean, if a picture is in the New York Times, you at least know, okay, it might be some people who turn up that, I mean, you know, see it, but we'll see.
yeah, no, I mean, that's a good point. I think that, you know, as someone who broke into the old system when it was really, really hard to break in past the gatekeepers, and then I broke in just in time for that entire system to collapse, and now it's all democratized, I'm like really annoyed because, you know, I was anointed a prince among cartooning, and now the revolution has happened, and any random mass person can publish, and like, what's with that? I was a 1%er under the old system, and now I'm just one of the unwatched. But you know, I mean, one can complain about it, but it doesn't change anything. You know, whether you're trying to start a business or start a revolution, you have to deal with things the way they really are. And the fact is that you know, me and Stephanie and probably every cartoonist a lot of time to try to figure out social media, and still are, and it is really stressful. You know, I mean, I feel like it really is, like Tina Brown called her daily beast, because she said the internet is a ravening beast that has to be fed all the time, and I really feel like that. I feel like the only way you can get your message out and have people pay attention is to be incredibly prolific, put out new product all the time, ideally several times a day. And so it means a heavy workload for those of us who are doing it. And it's also the danger that you could produce something really great, and it really doesn't have any chance to get noticed. It gets buried, pushed down to the scroll, and it's never seen. I mean, these are all true. And you know, the fact is that you can spit in the wind, but the wind is still coming. So you know, after complaining about it for years, I'm trying to accept and adapt to it. And but I do think it cuts both ways. I mean, it is now much easier to access new audiences. One of the things that I used to be frustrated by under the old system was that if my cartoon, for example, didn't appear in a newspaper in a certain city, no one in that city would ever see them. Period. Now that doesn't matter as much anymore. You know, I can tell, because if I do an appearance in a city where my cartoons have never appeared, people still know my work. It's because of the internet and social media. So that's great. And so, you know, I also like the feedback. I can also tell what gets reaction by looking at the numbers. So that's cool. But you know, I mean, it also, you know, tends to reward insipid content at the expense of more difficult, more thought-provoking work. So there's that issue too. But again, there's not much we can do about it. It's just the way it is. Until the revolution, we are stuck with this system.
Well, Some people maybe out there didn't see that Left Forum. Maybe it's new to them. At least, I mean, it's new to me. I came to Left Forum the first time 3 years ago, and then evenly start volunteering, and now I'm ending here being a program coordinator and trying to bring in, let's say, 400 panels every year, which 1,400 speakers. I mean, it's one of the biggest conferences in the left, I think, even on the globe. We have 4,500 and 5,000 attendees. But also we are struggling with, of course, with a lot of issues. I mean, if we think about Left Forum, because the audience, of course, let's face it, it's at a certain age. I mean, the people out there on the streets these days, very often, I mean, maybe not really are showing up. And yeah, I have my own opinion why it might be like that, but what's your opinion on that? Why is Left Forum the way it is? What is the good part? What is the good thing at Left Forum? What is improvable?
Well,
I
I'm a
mean,
big
I'm sure you all three have
I'll
an
start
answer
with
to
the
that.
complaints so everyone can hate me. So I think that there's, I mean, okay, so I won't get into what I like about Left Forum because that will be boring. But, you know, it's the opportunity to meet people and network and get to, and, you know, out things in a new way. But I think that some of the big problems are, first of all, it's, you know, its history was that it was obviously, you know, it was an academic conference originally, and that still is the root. You know, that's sort of how people think of it still. And if we could get away from that, it would probably make for a, you know, it would probably be more open to other people, especially younger people, especially activists, if it had more of a workshop feel. Like, we're going to get together and figure out how to organize and that kind of thing. I think it would attract more people. I also think it's got too many panels, too many events. It's because, you know, you can easily do a panel. I know that when Stephanie and we did her panel on, you know, a couple of years in a row, and, you know, we're looking in the guidebook and we're like, oh, screwed, because we're going up against this like big blockbuster panel, so nobody's going to come to our panel. So if you have too many things going on at the same time, now, like, our panel is just going to get forgotten, and there's kind of a celebrity aspect to it. And I think it would be better to have fewer panels and choose them carefully, even if it meant, unfortunately, maybe some people don't get, you know, some good panels don't get chosen, don't get to happen. And then I personally, I don't know. This is just me. I hate the star fucking aspect of Left Forum. Like when I get these panels that say, these notifications that say, like, oh, you know, we have, you know, Michael Moore is coming. Hey, Michael Moore, and I'm like, to me, the left shouldn't be about. The left should be about we're all equal, right? We're fighting for an equal world. Everybody's equal. And so suddenly we have these stars who are, you know, have their event in a big forum, you know, in a big venue, in a big auditorium, and the rest of us are in little classrooms, and you know what I mean? It's annoying, and it doesn't seem, I hate to say it, very democratic. There, I said it. Sorry.
So, I mean, just to mention, Ted, there is something going on with your connection. I mean, it's a little bit, it breaks up every once in a while. I hope it is not too annoying to the listeners and viewers out there. But Stephanie and Paula, what's your take on that? I mean, what's the good thing at Left Forum? What is the improvable thing? I mean, I think I'm really concerned about this question on that there's so many people right now struggling for having a better life in their future, and they're going on the street, they stand for things, but at least in the last couple of years there were too few of them basically trying to talk about why are they doing why are they angry, why are we protesting, and so on. I mean, that really is a big question to me. What is your concern or advice or idea on the Left Forum itself? Stephanie?
Well, I think I agree with a lot of what Ted said, and I will just elaborate that it is too much focused on academics and superstars of the left. And it should be focused on organizing and practical things that people can hook into. Like if people could come to it and expect to be able to join a group that they could then go and work with, rather than listen to a lot of people really kind of showing off their intellectual achievements. I think it would be probably more appealing to people. People want to be able to do something. They want to come together to actually learn how to fight back effectively. So I think more discussion over our, the movement's strategies and tactics. Like there's protest after protest after protest, and that people, I think, get tired of that after a while if it doesn't lead anywhere. Just coming out into the streets again. For what? If we're not actually putting that into practice as part of a strategy that we can all understand, grasp, and be part of building. So I think that might be something that could be more focused on. But I think in terms of the positive part, I think it's a good way to meet people who are searching for such things. There are a lot of people who are new to political life and they want to learn a lot, and it's a place where you can go and learn a lot and talk to a lot of different kinds of people. So there's that really positive aspect there too.
And I think that the academic quality of it can be used as a strength to draw in young people who are often alienated from and can't afford college. A lot of the young people that I'm working with that are radical activists in youth groups all over New York City, in New Jersey, in Philadelphia, they're not able to afford to even go to the state and the city colleges. They would love to be able to lead sessions and attend sessions, but they don't know about Left Forum. They don't know about it. And I think that it would be a connection across class lines and across culture lines that would be really strong, but again, they don't know about it. And they would come, and I don't think we need to dumb it down or simplify it. A lot of the young people are engaged in similar conversations that might even sound academic, and so they would love to be in an environment where other people are talking about this. They don't know about it. So that's one big part of it, is having more outreach that is grassroots to youth organizations. And we have hundreds of radical youth organizations in New York City that I travel around every day and meet with groups, and basically we'll work with whatever groups ask me to come out to them in Brownsville, in East Harlem, in the South Bronx, in Newark, New Jersey. There are so many. And if they were able to lead workshops following up on what you're talking about, of having, Stephanie, more practical and kind of useful organizing workshops where people can take away from that, maybe learning how to do a zine in a workshop, learning how to make a political cartoon, learning how to make a quick film that they can upload to YouTube. So they're coming away with something concrete to communicate with people, but then they're also, in the course of it, making connections across class boundaries.
Well, as you talk, I mean, I'm, for example, going to this Organizing 2.0 event maybe this weekend, and they're doing exactly what, I mean, Stephanie and you, Paul, are just right now talking about, and I would also, yeah, of course, many people should go there. What I'm concerned with is, I think very often it's so difficult to get the attention from people, so that, you know, say, this is going to happen, you should come also to that event, come to it, and just participate and change it even if you want to. I mean, their forum is, for example, a pretty open, I mean, if it comes to the things I saw in my life, a pretty open place. So it can be developed a couple of months before. It's a question of an engagement. Oh, okay, I want to have Left Forum, then I'm volunteering for a while. I mean, even if I can spend 2 hours, and I might change certain things. You know, I bring those panels and those discussions to Left Forum if I want to. I mean, that's really a movement thing also. I mean, it's not something which we produce, which people are being paid for whatsoever. It's people are engaged, and And so also, of course, the conference changes with the people who are involved every year. I think that's very important to, I mean, maybe to communicate better. But I think the real problem is getting attention. I mean, if I send out an email and I hope to, let's say, to 1,000 people, I'm I'm lucky if 100 open this email and would pay attention, and that's so difficult these days. I mean, and one of the reasons is, I think, is social media, and then it's New York City. You are overwhelmed with things going on here.
Maybe
Well, I
having
think
more social events attached to
yes.
it also, rather
Yeah, I was
than
going to
just
suggest
the
that.
conferences. But like a big party, people just hanging out, they can informally get into conversations more easily.
And a series of events. One of the things that we've done youth organizing around is we hold these enormous skateboarding events where 1,000 young people show up for the skateboarding event. And then we have people table around the edges of that about all different issues. And so you're just bringing together some kind of clashing cultures. And that really helps because then you reach out to people that you've never reached out to before. I think if you directly reach out to the grassroots youth groups, which there are maybe 500 in New York City, and ask them, would you like to lead a session at Left Forum about the youth organizing that you're doing? If it was a targeted outreach in that way, then I think there would be a good response.
Have an area with free tables, so groups that don't have $250 can come and share their flyers. You know, a few tables where people could put stuff out who don't have to buy a table, maybe.
I want to make sure, I know you wanted, Marcus, for us to show some of our work, and I want to just make sure that you have enough time for that. Do you want to let us know how you'd like to organize that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should just start it now. I mean, just show the audience a little bit about what you've done, and also maybe, Paula, if you told me earlier about this work with the youth and about Malala and Nabila, who basically very young and now even Nobel Prize Peace Prize winners, and they're suffering, or basically one of their issues is Malala was fighting against for education for women, and she is 17 and had almost been shot dead, right, by an Taliban activist, I guess. No, Taliban activist.
Well, one of the things is that there's a big focus on the fact that she was attacked by the Taliban, and one of the things that she brought up when she met with Obama, the Obama family, and we have a cartoon by her and by Nabila, is that she brought up, and I can show the example of it while I'm talking, I will do that, that the United States drone strikes are what's fueling terrorism in northern Pakistan, according to her. And so in this piece here, it's drawn by a 9-year-old. This is all drawings by a 9-year-old. And these are all the words from Malala directly. If the money the United States spends on weapons went to global education, change would come. Drone strikes fuel terrorism. None of this was in the media afterwards. Commented on that was cut out from what the mainstream media reported. And then Nabila Rahman, this is her testimony. She is 9 years old, and she testified with U.S. Congress, and only 5 congressmen showed up out of the 200-plus congressmen. And her grandmother was killed, and she was injured by U.S. drone strikes. And so in this case, this is her artwork. And so we have permission. Amnesty International published her work, and we contacted them, and they said that we could have permission to use this. And then it was illustrated by children. And then this is an article by Storm, who is 16, a young black woman who's organizing with Black Lives Matter. And this is part of her writing about the organizing that she's doing. And this is the cover for the next issue. So this is my artwork, and this is the cover for the next issue of World War III. And it describes some of the organizing and also some of the artwork that we're doing with kids.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
Let me come back to
it's
you and
great.
turn off
I
this.
mean, the term World War III. I mean, that's. I mean, as a German, there is a big debate going on in Europe, specifically in places like Germany, Poland, and also many other countries about World War III. I mean, people are really afraid of that this might gonna happen because of the situation in Ukraine. But Paula, why are you using that World War III term as, at least I get the impression, as something where we are already in? Is that?
Well, we say that World War III can't happen because we've trademarked the term.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yay,
Thank you for doing
capitalism.
that. You saved us all.
Yes. We'll be collecting $1 from each of you for the trademark fee.
That
We'll
seems fair.
happily give you the $1, yes.
That's
What
cool.
we're talking about is World War III is something that's already occurring. It's occurring every day in many people's lives who are being injured by capitalism, who are being injured by the effects of environmental destruction that is environmental racism and environmental injustice. And so that it's already occurring. And it's also occurring inside of us, that we have these wars that are causing trouble with people's sanity and ability to effect change and communicate, and that these types of wars are already occurring. So that's why we also called it that. I've been involved with World War III since 1984. I co-edited the third or fourth World War III in 1984, and really at that time when Reagan was in power and Koch was the mayor here in New York, it just felt like World War III was already occurring in a lot of low-income communities and communities of color in New York City, but all over the world, so that it's already occurring. And Third World War was the other concept, is that it's World War III, Third World War.
Mm. Mm. So Stephanie, you also said you have some pictures to show to the audience. What's in your pictures these days? I mean, what do you want to show?
Oh, let me try to pull these up here. I chose a few to illustrate capitalism. This is sort of how I view capitalism.
It's a monster.
And now I don't know how to advance it, but yes, a monster that is devouring the world, and it's
Do the
devouring
forward
all
arrow.
of us. Ah, forward arrow. Thank you. And no, that
on your
didn't work.
screen, on the photo viewer screen, the little blue arrow
Ah, okay.
to the right of the rectangle in the center.
Okay, sorry.
There you go.
Okay. Yes, and this image talks about a very common response, which is to try to fix it from within, and that doesn't work, of course. So this person is trying to choose between the brand that's destroying the rainforest, the one that murders union organizers, or the one that poisons children.
Mm.
And so, right, we can't, there's no way to live ethically or in a way that destroys capitalism without organizing and actually destroying it. So I'm including this other drawing here coming up on May Day to show what we actually need to do, and that is unite and overthrow the dominators and the exploiters. So if we can unite, if we're able to do that, then we have all the power. So those are the three I thought I'd show today.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, one thing I didn't mention, Marcus, is that the next issue of World War III is going to come out in June 2015, issue 46. And the co-editors are Hillary, Allison, Sandy Jimenez, and I'm co-editing that. It'll be available from Top Shelf Comics.
Did you also have prepared some of your?
I did. Someone else was supposed to put them up.
Yes, Jack. He's going to do it now, I think.
Okay. Great. Okay. So, okay. Great. So this one is, I just literally sent out today. It's kind of an example. We were talking earlier about the power of social media. Okay, so this story really hit, obviously it's about the white cop who shot the black man in South Carolina, and the video caught him a couple of days ago. The video broke late last night. Shows the policeman shooting him in the back as he runs away, and then planting a weapon on his body. And so I was able to do this cartoon very quickly for a website that I work for, and to pump it out on social media, and it just went up. And so I focused here on the fact that look, these stories have been going on for years. Everybody, when I say story, I mean these facts, these events are not new. They're as old as they're as old as the American colonies. But somehow it's only that now that there's a video that the media pays attention and takes it seriously, and that means white Americans take it seriously. And so I have this, the white guy saying, but now that there's video, it's real. And like, wait a minute, who took the video? A white person or a black person, right? So it's about like the communications or lack thereof that still prevent us from unifying. And the biggest problem with America is probably that it's not so much that people disagree on what to do about problems, that people don't even all acknowledge that the problems even exist. So how can you even decide not to do anything about them? You can't even accept that they exist. And I guess I'll go to the next one. Can we go to another one? Hello?
Jack?
I can't move it. Oh, maybe I can. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Cool. Okay. I didn't know I could control it. Okay. And so this is for the LA Times, and there's a drought that is that's probably the worst in 1,000 years right now in California. No one knows when it's going to end, and some people are predicting that the state's economy could start to collapse as early as a year or two from now. So it's a dire threat, and the governor's office is telling people to take shorter showers and not water their lawns, which is of course fine. But as usual, they're ignoring the big business enterprise, namely agribusiness, which is using up at least 80% of potable water in the state of California, and there's literally no regulations whatsoever. So it's an environmental issue, but it's really an issue about capitalism, because it's about the influence of big business on the bourgeois political system, in this case in Sacramento, and the administration of Jerry Brown, who by American standards is a relatively progressive liberal Democrat. But of course that's not good enough. And I'll move on to the next one. Okay, and then this was for syndication. Now this one kind of made me laugh after I drew it, because I wonder how many of my major newspapers will run it, because it's pretty out there. But I read that USA Today wrote an article talking about how the average pay of CEOs of major companies like Walmart and Starbucks is $5,859 per hour. And so this followed last week's story about how McDonald's is so generous because they're hiking salaries for 10% of their workers, from $9 and change per hour to a whopping $10 per hour. Of course, the other 90% don't get that increase. And so I kind of fantasize here about revolutionaries breaking into CEO's office and saying, well, we're going to reset your pay at $10 an hour. Well, actually, only for 10% of you. Most of you get $9 an hour. And of course, this is all about power. I mean, it's like, I think this is something that so many people, so many labor and people who are, and just ordinary people are just so don't know what to do. The memory of the 60s is so far behind. Revolutionary action is so outside of their consciousness that I feel like this is an example of the kind of thing that you can fantasize in a cartoon, and say, like, what if guys with guns broke into the CEO's office? It would change everything.
Thank you very much. I mean, I don't know how long we could go on forever, but we almost talked an hour now. Just get think that's great, and you're coming to Left Forum and talking about this, and maybe, I mean, you will engage or even, I don't know, make new revolutionary comic artists coming out of your event at Left Forum, which I hope. I mean, it's also about organizing, and yeah, the big question always is, of course, yeah, now I have been at Left Forum. What's next? How can we work on the things together? How can we change the world? The thing you actually was just talking about, Ted, is next week on Wednesday, I think. Maybe the United States will see one of the biggest labor movement actions going on, and in almost 200 cities, they want to get to those McDonald's, Walmarts, and whatsoever, and just fighting for not only $10 an hour, but even more. And maybe some people will also take the whole bakery. Man, you never know. What people do, well, create their own worker cooperatives from the scratch. I mean, that's what many people do right now, also in New York City. And all that is being debated at the Left Forum. We have a very, very big draw by the Left Forum. I mean, your critique about the celebrities. I mean, last year we had Angela Davis and Harry Belafonte, and as we promoted that, of course, there were so many communication going on. I mean, the panels were just dropping in, and it was so easy, basically, to convince people. But this year we didn't have this, so we don't have the big draws, and we don't have Angela Davis or Harry Belafonte. But still, there are so many people engaged in proposing panels. We have already more than 300 people who propose panel. I know that you said that this is maybe also a bit problematic, but what will you do? I mean, people want to talk about their issues and are interested, and where can they do that? They can do it at Left Forum. I mean, of course, they do it also in other places, but that's I think, the exciting thing. Without having announced any big celebrities, people are just organizing and doing and working and want to discuss and want to draw in more people. I think that's really the good news for this year, I can tell you. I mean, the main issue will be Black Lives Matter. We have more than 30 panels this year on just that thing, and it's kind of difficult to not double book them, you know, that you don't have too many panels running simultaneously, because people also, I mean, at what I heard, activists are interested in having a decent conversation about that movement. Where is it at? What's the next step? I mean, there are also problematic issues I just heard today. I mean, things like, okay, you're gonna lead a march, and how do we need to confront the police, or is it not even better to have a non-violent action, and so on? And this is a debate which, of course, always goes on within movements, but where do you do those conversations? I mean, I think the best thing is to meet in real life and have a talk and conversation about what's next, and that's going to happen this year at Left Forum. And also, I mean, the brilliant thing, United States of America is still the most powerful country on the globe, and I mean, the left here is so much anti-imperialist, and so much also they care about what's going on in the globe. So it might be good also to talk about what's going on in Europe, another powerful region in crisis these days, and there's a lot of problematic issues going on. I mean, the right wing in countries like France or in Hungary, they're getting more powerful because of the crisis and because of yeah, let's say the arrogance of the people in power, who basically are not willing to share more of basically what they took away from the workers. So we get people who basically are representatives of a new form of political parties, I would say. So Syriza is sending somebody in who's a member of the parliament, also somebody from Podemos, which is a new political party which came out of the Indignados movement in Spain. They will come up and talk about how they basically try to change their country, and not only that, I mean, they are really trying to transform the European Union if they are successful. I mean, I can tell you, I think my government, the government I am coming from, the country I am coming from, I mean, basically is being addressed very heavily by people who are oppressed by the German way how to rule the European Union. I mean, that's for sure. And protest and organizing changes the world. I mean, I think, and of course, people have also to come together and talk about their different experiences and their ideas on how to go on. And that all is going, yeah, it's happening on May 29th till May 31st. It's 3 days. So we start Friday at 5, and then there's an opening plenary Friday night, with people from, as I said, Spain and Greece, and maybe also from Portugal, and maybe even some from Ireland. We're not sure now. People have very, very busy schedules these days over there in Europe. I mean, they're constantly struggling, basically. And on Saturday it starts at 10 o'clock, and with a lot of workshops and panels. And one of them would be, of course, yours on comics and for revolution. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me here and having the first ever Google Hangout for that forum. And yeah, it was so nice to have you with me.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you, and
Thank
I
you.
look forward to meeting everybody at the forum. It'll be great.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. So I don't know how this works. Jack.
That's all right. I'll turn it off now. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Talk
you.
to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.